This is a time lapse of a deck that I bought. This is my first deck. This is the posthole digger I rented. So this was around $115 to rent for 24 hours. This was not an easy task. We have hard clay in northern Indiana, so it was a tough task. Next, I rented a mud mixer for the concrete. I had 17 holes total. I did put the Samson Strong 6x6 bases on the concrete. The mud mixer was $130 to rent for one day. The concrete itself was $525. And the tubes for the concrete, I cut them, so I didn't use 17 full tubes. It was around $80. Total hardware for the deck, I was just over $762. You can see the 6x6s. The beams are 2x10s, and I ended up going with 2x8s for the joist. So total it is 20x30 approximately, and then that curves around the pool. I have a current deck that's 12x12, and we are taking the full length of the railing off, and we're doing full length stairs. The yard does slope down a little bit, so in the back it was just over 4 feet. There's us taking the railings off the old deck. This took about 30 days to complete. I started mid-May and I ended early June. There's my stairs. So that's a 12-foot wide staircase. The framing with the post, the beams, and joists, and supports was just under $2,000. So around $1,800 total. The railings by far were the most expensive part of the deck. So they're Westbury railings, aluminum, and they were just under $4,000. So that was by far the biggest expense, even with the trex, some fascia boards that we bought that was trex. As you can see there, we're using a clamshell color trex, and a tide pool is the lighter color. In my figures, I did have to pay for delivery on one trip. So the total deck came in right around $10,000. As you can see here's us putting the deck boards on. I did use the Trex clips, so we don't have visible screw holes on the top of the deck. We do have some drilled holes, and I had the plugs from Trex on the clamshell. I didn't really have too many on the tide pool, so I didn't get them on the tide pool. So it's a good sized deck, and it worked out really nice right around the pool. I put it under the lip of the pool. And it's a picture frame, so I had to frame out around so I can picture frame it with the clamshell color. Here I'm starting the railings. The Westbury railings are great. They're solid railings once they get together, but they're not exactly the easiest to put together. I had a lot of trouble like pounding in and making sure everything was good. So especially on the stairs. Making sure everything was solid, and then making sure all the rungs are in. So it took a while, and it's definitely probably not a one-man job, and I was doing a lot of them by myself. So they weren't the easiest by far, but they're a great rail system. They look really nice, and they're solid once they get put up. That's what I mean. You have to put each individual rung in the railing system. They do have a tool that I rented. You can see it on the post there. So that way you can drill in your brackets. And that worked out really great. So total on the trex, it was around $2,000. The rental of the tool was $30 for us. The screws for the whole deck, because I didn't nail anything, it was all screws, came in around $280. The stair stringers themselves were right at $140. I did use joist tape. That was $90 off Amazon. So total project was $10,000, and this was my first deck. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.